Dear Grandma, I guess I should start by telling you that I'm not the simple farmhand I've been pretending to be. The truth is, I own about 3,000 acres of the richest farmland in Georgia, plus a tech company that makes equipment for organic farming. On paper, I'm worth about $2.8 billion. But sitting here writing this letter with dirt still under my fingernails, I can tell you that number never meant less to me than it does right now. It started when I decided to leave my penthouse in Atlanta and actually work my own land for a summer. I was tired, Grandma. Tired of board meetings and fake smiles and people who only saw dollar signs when they looked at me. I wanted to remember what real work felt like, what honest sweat tasted like. So I moved into the old farmhouse on my property, the one that came with the land when I bought it 15 years ago. I told my staff I was taking a sabbatical, packed some old clothes, and became just another farm worker. That's when I met Aaliyah. She showed up on a Tuesday morning in July, driving a beat-up Honda Civic that coughed black smoke and had a passenger door held shut with duct tape. I was fixing a fence post when she walked up wearing work boots that had seen better days and carrying herself with a dignity that made me stop and stare. She was a beautiful black woman with natural hair pulled back and a practical ponytail, her dark skin glowing with a light sheen of sweat from the Georgia heat. "You hiring?" she asked, looking me straight in the eye. No nervous fidgeting, no batting eyelashes, just direct and honest. "Depends," I said, wiping my hands on my jeans. "You know anything about farming?" She smiled then, and Grandma, I swear it was like watching the sun come up. "Grew up on my grandparents' farm in South Carolina. Been picking crops since I was 8 years old. I can work circles around most men, and I'm not afraid to getting dirty." I believed her immediately. There was something about the way she stood, the calluses on her hands, the confidence in her voice. This wasn't someone looking for easy money. This was someone who understood work. $20 an hour, sun up to sundown, 6 days a week. "Deal," she said, extending her hand for a shake. Her grip was firm and honest. Aaliyah, by the way. Aaliyah Washington. Eugene Johnson. I don't know why I gave her a fake last name, but something made me want to keep my real identity hidden a little longer. Over the next few weeks, I watched Aaliyah work, and Grandma, she was everything she promised and more. She could drive the tractor better than men who'd been farming for decades. She knew when the soil was too wet to plow just by the color. She could spot plant disease from 50 yards away and knew exactly how to treat it. But more than that, she brought joy to the work. She'd hum while she picked tomatoes, laugh when the chickens escaped their pen for the 3rd time in a week, and always had encouraging words for the other workers when the Georgia heat got brooding. During lunch breaks, we'd sit under the old oak tree by the pond, and she'd tell me about her dreams. She was working 3 jobs, our farm in the morning, a diner in town during lunch hours, and cleaning offices at night, all to save money for nursing school. "My mama was a nurse," she told me one day, sharing half her peanut butter sandwich with me, even though I'd forgotten to pack lunch. She used to say that healing folks was the closest thing to God's work you could do on earth. Lost her to cancer when I was 16, but I promised her I'd follow that path. Our family's been in Georgia for generations, and I want to give back to this community that raised me. She spoke about her grandmother's hands, how they could deliver babies and heal wounds with equal skill, how her great-grandmother had been a midwife during times when black women had to take care of their own because hospitals wouldn't treat them. "That's beautiful," I said, and I meant it. "How close are you to having enough saved?" Her smile dimmed a little. "Still need about 15,000 more. At this rate, maybe another 2 years if nothing goes wrong. But something always goes wrong, doesn't it?" I wanted to write her a check right there, Grandma. I wanted to tell her who I really was and solve all her problems with money. But something held me back. Maybe it was the way she looked at me, not as a rich man who could fix her life, but as Marcus the farm worker, who understood what it meant to sweat for every dollar. One evening in August, we were working late trying to get the harvest in before a storm hit. Most of the other workers had gone home, but Aaliyah stayed to help me secure the equipment. We were moving bags of feed into the barn when the sky opened up and dumped rain like someone had overturned a bucket. We ran for shelter, laughing and soaked to the bone, and ended up pressed together in the doorway of the old equipment shed. The rain was coming down so hard we could barely see the barn 50 feet away. "Guess we're stuck here for a while," she said, wringing water from her hair. That's when it happened, Grandma. Standing there in that cramped doorway, water dripping from the roof, the smell of rain and earth all around us, I realized I was completely, hopelessly in love with this woman. Not because she was beautiful, though she was, but because of who she was inside. Her strength, her kindness, her determination to make something of herself no matter how hard life got. "Eugene?" I started to say, but she looked up at me and whatever words I had planned died in my throat. "I know," she said softly. "I feel it too."
I kissed her then, gentle and careful, like she was something precious that might break. But she kissed me back with a passion that told me she was anything but fragile. When the rain finally stopped an hour later, we walked back to our cars hand in hand. But as we reached her beat-up Honda, Aaliyah stopped and turned to me. "Marcus, I need to tell you something," she said, and there was worry in her voice. "I've been doing some thinking, and maybe this isn't a good idea." My heart sank. "Why?" "Because I can't afford complications right now," she said. "I've got goals, plans. I can't let myself get distracted by feelings, even good ones. I've seen too many women throw away their dreams for love that might not last." I understood her fear, but it broke my heart. "What if I told you you'd never have to choose between your dreams and being with me? What if I could make sure of that?" She shook her head. "Nobody can make promises like that, Eugene. Life doesn't work that way. You're a good man, I can tell, but you're a farm worker just like me. Neither of us has the luxury of fairy tale thinking." That night, I lay in bed in the farmhouse, staring at the ceiling and wrestling with the biggest decision of my life. I could tell her the truth about who I was, about the money, about how I could solve all her problems with a phone call. But would she believe I'd fallen in love with her before I knew about her struggles? Would she think I was just another rich man trying to buy love? Or I could keep pretending, keep being just Eugene the farm worker, and hope that love would be enough to overcome all the practical problems. The choice was made for me 3 days later. I was in town buying supplies when I overheard 2 women talking in the hardware store checkout line. One of them said, "Did you hear about that Washington girl who works out at the Henderson farm? Word is her landlord's raising her rent by $300 next month. Poor thing's probably going to have to move back in with her aunt in Savannah." My blood ran cold. Aaliyah hadn't told me about the rent increase. She was probably trying to figure out how to handle it on her own, just like she handled everything else. I drove back to the farm with my mind racing. When I found Aaliyah in the vegetable garden, I could see the stress written all over her face. "You okay?" I asked, kneeling beside her as she weeded the tomato plants. She tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Just thinking about some changes I might need to make." "The rent increase?" She looked up sharply. "How did you—" "Never mind. Small town, I guess." "Yes, the rent increase. Looks like I'll have to move to Savannah and live with my aunt. It'll mean giving up this job and probably setting back my nursing school plans by another year or 2, but what choice do I have?" That's when I knew I couldn't keep lying to her, Grandma. Not about this. "Aaliyah, I need to tell you something important. Something I should have told you weeks ago." She set down her weeding tool and looked at me with those honest eyes. "What is it?" "I'm not who you think I am," I began. "My real name is Eugene Henderson, not Johnson. And this isn't just a farm I work on. I own it. I own all of it, 3,000 acres, plus a company that's made me more money than I know what to do with. The color drained from her face. What? I'm rich, Aaliyah. Very rich. Billionaire rich. And before you say anything, before you get angry or think this was some kind of game, I need you to know that I fell in love with you before any of this mattered. I fell in love with your laugh, your work ethic, your dreams, your heart. The money is just something I have, not who I am. She stood up slowly, brushing dirt from her hands. For a long moment, she just stared at me. "You've been lying to me," she said finally. "Yes." "For months." "Yes." "While I worried about rent money and shared my lunch with you and told me about not having enough money for school?" "I can explain, Aaliyah." "Can you?" Her voice was quiet, but I could hear the hurt underneath. "Can you explain why you watched me stress about money when you could have helped? Can you explain why you let me think we were the same when we're not? Can you explain why you made me fall in love with a lie?" The pain in her voice cut right through me. "Because I wanted you to love Eugene the man, not Eugene the bank account. Because every other woman I've ever dated only cared about my money. Because with you, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was enough just being myself."
Tears started running down her cheeks, but you weren't being yourself. You were being a made-up version of yourself. The real you has billions of dollars and has been playing pretend while I've been struggling. She started walking toward her car, and panic hit me like a lightning bolt. "Aaliyah, please, let me fix this. Your rent, nursing school, everything. Let me help. Let me show you that the money doesn't have to change what we have." She turned around, and the look on her face nearly broke me. "Don't you see, Eugene? The money changes everything. It was already between us, influencing every choice you made about what to tell me and what to hide. How can I trust my own feelings now? How do I know if I love you or if I love the security you represent?" She got in her car and drove away, leaving me standing in the middle of my 3,000-acre farm, feeling poorer than I'd ever felt in my life. For 3 weeks, I tried everything to reach her. I called, I texted, I showed up at the diner where she worked, but she wouldn't see me. Finally, her aunt in Savannah answered the phone and told me Aaliyah had moved in with her and taken a job at a hospital there as a nurse's aide. "She's heartbroken," her aunt said, "but she's stubborn too. Says she needs time to figure out who she is without any outside influences. Maybe you should respect that." So I did, Grandma. For 6 months, I respected her wishes and left her alone. But I didn't sit idle. I researched nursing programs in Savannah and anonymously set up a scholarship fund at the community college there, not just for Aaliyah, but for anyone in her situation. I worked with local farmers to create better pay and benefits for agricultural workers. I funded a clinic that provided free health care for farming families. I couldn't help Aaliyah directly, but I could help people like her, people who worked hard and deserved better than they were getting. Last month, I got a letter. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. Eugene. It said, "I heard about the scholarship program and the clinic. My aunt thinks it's a coincidence, but I know it's not. I know it's you trying to help without overstepping. Thank you for respecting my space and for helping people who need it. I'm graduating from the nursing program next month. I've had time to think, and I have some things I need to say to you. If you're willing to listen, meet me at the pond by the old oak tree on Sunday at sunset. If you're not there, I'll understand. A. Grandma, I never drove so fast in my life. I got there 2 hours early and sat under that tree watching the sun move across the sky, terrified she wouldn't come and terrified she would. She showed up just as the sun was touching the horizon, looking beautiful and confident in a way that took my breath away. She sat beside me, on the same fallen log where we used to eat lunch, but kept a careful distance between us. "You look good," I said, because I couldn't think of anything else. "She felt good," she replied. "Strong, clear about who I am and what I want." "And what's that?" She was quiet for a long time, watching the water. "I want to be a nurse. I want to help people. I want a life built on my own choices, not on what someone else can give me." My heart sank, but I nodded. "I understand." "She's not finished," she said, turning to look at me. "I also want to be with someone who sees me as an equal partner, not someone to rescue or take care of. Someone who trusts me enough to be honest, even when it's complicated." "Aaliyah," she said, "the question is whether you can be that person, Eugene. Not Eugene the farm worker, not Eugene the billionaire, just Eugene, the man who I fell in love with in that equipment shed during a rainstorm." I reached for her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. "I want to try. I want to learn how to be both men, the one who can work beside you in the fields and the one who has resources to help make the world better. I want you to see all of me and love me anyway." "She never stopped loving you," she said softly. "Even when I was angry, even when I felt betrayed, I never stopped loving you. But love isn't enough by itself. We need trust and honesty and equality." "Then teach me," I said. "Show me how to be the partner you deserve." She smiled then, that sunrise smile I'd fallen in love with, and leaned over to kiss me. It was different from that first kiss in the doorway. This one was built on truth instead of pretense, on choice instead of chance. "There's something else," she said as we broke apart. "I've been accepted to a nurse practitioner program at Emory. It's in Atlanta." "That's wonderful," I said, meaning it completely. "The thing is, I can't afford it, even with the scholarship. It's too expensive." I took a deep breath. "What if I helped? Not as your boyfriend, but as someone who believes in your dreams."
"What if we helped each other?" she said. "What if we became partners in everything? Your philanthropy, my healthcare work, building a life together based on what we both contribute." Grandma, I could have cried with relief and joy. "You mean it?" she said. "I mean it, but I have conditions." "Name them." "We start over. No more lies, no more pretending. You show me your world, I'll show you mine, and we figure out how to build one together." "Done." "We take it slow. I'm not moving in with you tomorrow or letting you buy me things just because you can. I want to earn my place in your life." "Done." "And when we do get married someday," notice I said when, not if, "I want a prenup that makes sure I'm with you for love, not money." "Aaliyah Washington," I said, pulling her closer, "you are the most extraordinary woman I've ever met." "Good thing," she said, laughing, "because you're stuck with me now." We talked until the stars came out, making plans and sharing dreams and figuring out how two very different people from two very different worlds could build something beautiful together. She starts at Emory next month, and I'm selling the penthouse in Atlanta to buy us a house with enough land for a garden. She wants to grow her own vegetables, and I want to grow old beside her. You know what the funny thing is, Grandma? All my money, all my success, all the things I thought made me who I was, none of it matters as much as the way she looks at me when I make her laugh, or how proud I feel watching her help someone, or how right it feels when she takes my hand. You always told me that real love sees past the surface to what's underneath. You said the right person would love me for my heart, not my wallet. I never believed you until now. I found something better than a woman who doesn't care about money. I found a woman who cares about character more than money, who values partnership over security, who wants to build a life instead of being handed one. I found Aaliyah, and
Grandma, she found me right back. I hope wherever you are, you're smiling about this. I think you would have loved her, and I know she would have loved you. You both understand that the best things in life can't be bought. They have to be earned through honesty, kindness, and the courage to love someone exactly as they are. All my love, your grandson Eugene. P.S. We're planning a small wedding next spring. I know you're not here to see it, but I feel you with us anyway. Aaliyah insists on making the cake herself, and knowing her, it'll be perfect.